Hi, I'm Seamless, and today I want to talk to you about labels again, but this time more specifically about how you get on a label if you want to get on a label. I have another video about labels that's just called Labels, and it's more about what a purpose a label should serve and what they do in the modern times and my personal opinions on them and that kind of thing. But I have a lot of people messaging me a lot of times about what they want, what they should do if they want to get on a label. How do they send demos? What kind of messages do they send? That kind of thing. Right off the bat, I'll want to say that most labels will have usually that answer. They'll have some kind of FAQ somewhere, or like on the page for submitting demos. If they have a demo submission page, they'll have a thing that says like, here's what we want to have, and like that kind of thing. And they'll tell you like, names and your name and demo and like where you're from, and like not a lot of else kind of thing. And that's usually do what they say kind of thing. But there's still some extra stuff you should think about if you want to do that kind of stuff. The very short answer is that you want to make yourself as attractive to a label as possible. And you do that by presenting a package that's as little work as possible for a label. And what I mean by that is, have your music, do your own mixing, your own mastering, have a name already, have all your social media already good to go, have art for whatever it is that you're doing, either for like a logo or for like your release. Have all that pretty much just essentially the closest you are to a finished project, finished package, the more attractive you are to a label, because it means that they don't need to do anything other than what they do, which is release things and promo stuff. That means that they don't need to worry about paying for extra stuff, which for the most part, if you're going to sign a label deal and they're interested in you to do a deal, they'll be okay with that because they think that they'll recoup. Like if they've gotten that far, they're pretty sure that they're going to recoup whatever costs they have, having incurred for things like art, promo, and that kind of stuff. They're pretty confident in that idea, so they're probably not going to be like angry about having to do it. But if you've already got it done, that still makes you more attractive than someone who may have literally the same content, just not as finished an act kind of thing. Beyond that, there's some more basic stuff, which I really still can't believe I have to tell people this, but name your stuff. Name your stuff. Always have your name on it. And I don't mean your name like my name, Steven. I mean like your name, Seamless, your artist name in the song. Name it right. Artist name - song name. And do that. Don't do anything else. Don't send them whip 5. Also, don't ever tell anybody it's a whip. If you're sending someone a demo, send them a demo. Unless it's literally 30 seconds long. You don't even call it a whip. Just call it a demo. The idea of calling it a whip invites criticism, and it puts them in a mindset that they're looking for flaws. Versus if you give them something that's a finished product, they're actually going to do the exact opposite. They're going to look for good things. They're going to look for stuff that makes it so that they can like it to be able to sell it. That's what they're going to look for. But if you tell them it's a whip, they're going to automatically be in a mindset where they're trying to find reasons to not accept it. And also, because mixing and mastering has become easier to do, especially for heavier electronic genres, or most electronic genres, and even not electronic genres, it's no label is ever going to care if you send them an unmastered demo. If you send them a -6 dB quiet track, they're not gonna care. Nobody is ever going to want to hear that, and it's also, especially, it depends on the genre, but for the most part, 80% of the time, it's also not going to, cannot possibly be representative of what the finished product will sound like, because chances are the mastering is going to alter how things sound and feel to the point where it'll be a whole new song, because that's how a lot of this works. And so that will never ever be a good idea. So, and also remember, the closest thing to finished project you possibly can. And the naming thing helps, but also along the naming thing and the art thing, make sure that all of your social media has all the same stuff, and all of your social media links to all the other social media. So if you have a YouTube and a SoundCloud page and a Facebook page, on your SoundCloud page, don't just have a Twitter link and not Facebook and YouTube. You want to have every single thing go to every single thing. It's together, all of it, networking. That makes it a lot easier, and that also makes you a lot more promoable, because this means that if someone finds you in any capacity, in any form of any of these medias, they'll find your way back to you, which you want, and they'll find your way back to whatever material they're trying to put out, which the label wants. So that's, you need to have that all in a row, and that's all stuff you could do yourself. That's not something that you need a label to tell you. You need to, that's something that it's all free, essentially, is setting up all that stuff. Same thing with the art. Well, not the art. Art's not free. Good art's not free anyway. But that's. I mean, you might find someone who could be a buddy and, like, they want to get the experience. They give you some art that happens to be pretty great because maybe they're some kind of undiscovered prodigy. But for the most part, art will cost you something. Don't ever think that you're just gonna get it all for free forever, because you're not gonna. Yeah, and that, like, beyond that, make appropriate music. Like, find labels that match the kind of stuff that you're trying to do. And, like, don't hedge your bets all on a single label. Go to different labels, to shop around. Like, having to choose between two labels that accepted you is kind of a nice problem to have. And you might be worried about, like, well, what if I, whatever. Chances are, whatever label that is has so many other releases already coming up. They don't need to care that you're just kind of like, sorry, our label gave me a better deal. And I mean, best case scenario, they start haggling over you. Why not? Then that's kind of great. Don't expect it to happen. But so yeah, and this is, of course, assuming that you're going to be cold calling, which is to say that you have no prior contact with anybody from any of these labels. You don't know who the A&R guy is. You don't know who the label manager is. You don't know them at all. And for the love of God, don't just send your stuff to the guy unsolicited. And by unsolicited, I mean, if, like, on the label website, it's like, oh, send it to this guy, and this guy will listen to it. Do that. Do what they say. And if they have, like, a demo submission thing, use that. Don't try to go above it. Don't try to circumvent it. It will not endear you to them. That will not make them like you better. They'll make them hate you, as a matter of fact. And it'll sour their opinion of your work as a result. Even if your work is the greatest thing ever, you want to actually not, damage your chances of them actually getting to that part where they listen to your stuff and then making a decision, not based on whether or not you've annoyed them somehow. That's a thing. So I mentioned that once in the spamming producers video, because that will affect your career. Being professional is a good idea. So, like, that was, the idea of the cold calling. The most effective way, the most sort of surefire way of getting on a label, though, is if you know someone who knows someone, that kind of thing. And, like, if you're, I almost don't want to give this advice, because I feel like if you're having to follow this advice, this means that your stuff can't speak for itself. But, one idea might be to contact an artist who's already on the label and maybe do remixes with them or do a collab or something. Get to know the artist so that then you have the contact, the guy who knows the guy, because now they know the guys and they can get you to contact, that kind of thing. That's a handy way of doing that. That's probably why the majority of new artists only do remixes anyway. But you also need to kind of let your music speak for itself. And I mean, if you want to go watch the other video I did on labels, where I just kind of disparaged on the value of labels, like, there definitely are some that are better than others. Like, I happen to like Monster Cat. If that's a goal you have, then more power to you. But, like, I'm on Fixed because I was introduced by a guy to a guy, and at the time I wasn't even contemplating being on a label, so that wasn't, like, I didn't do any of this kind of thing. I didn't do the demo submission. I didn't do any of the advice I gave you, but it is all still advice I need to give you, because that's the stuff you should be doing to give yourself the best chances. It's not going to guarantee anything. None of this is going to guarantee anything. You still have to have the talent. You have to have the new music, and you have to not be sending big room house tracks to, like, Viper or something. Send appropriate stuff to appropriate places, and you'll have, plus all the other stuff I said, naming your stuff right, do what they tell you in the damn demo submission form, don't spam people, have all your social media ducks in a row, do all these things. You'll have the highest chance of success, you have the highest chance of being judged on your material and not being judged on your unprofessionalism. And that's really what you want. If you get rejected, you want to make sure that it's just not because they think you're an asshole, but because they thought your music wasn't a fit for what they're doing, or because your music was bad. But either way, that's the position you want to be in. And after that, it's seriously just up to your stuff being something that they think they can turn over to a profit. Which, if you could predict that makes you a very potentially rich individual, because that's, how the industry revolves around everything. Anyway, I hope that advice helps. Anyway, if you have any questions about this, a lot of them probably could be answered by the other video I did on labels. Go search my channel for that. It's actually in the playlist that this video is in, called Advice. But if you have any questions, please ask. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all the good stuff. And as usual, have a nice day.